Hey everyone, I'm Eric. We've all been there, right? That sinking feeling when you know you've just messed up, big time. But what if I told you that failing, the one thing we're all taught to run away from, is actually the secret ingredient to success? Today, we're going to dive into John C. Maxwell's pretty game-changing idea of failing forward. So, let's get right into it.
First off, a quick question for you, and be honest. When was the last time you really, truly messed something up? Maybe it was a project at work, a new business idea that went south, or hey, maybe you just completely burned dinner last night. Just hold that memory in your mind for a second. What was that immediate feeling? Frustration? A little embarrassment, maybe? Yeah, we're going to circle back to that.
So I want to tell you a quick story about this kid who was just completely obsessed with basketball. I mean, he lived and breathed it, he practiced like crazy, went to the tryouts for the varsity team, and then he was told he just wasn't good enough. He got cut. For any teenager, man, that is a pretty brutal rejection. Now, right at that moment, he was at a fork in the road. He really had a choice to make. He could have just listened to the coach's verdict, packed it in, and decided, well, I guess basketball's not for me. And honestly, that would have been the easy path. Nobody would have blamed him. But he didn't quit. That kid, as you might have guessed, was Michael Jordan. He took that rejection, that quote-unquote failure, and he turned it into rocket fuel. He used it to practice harder than everybody else, to prove that coach and pretty much everyone else totally wrong. And this story just perfectly illustrates the main idea we're digging into today, the massive difference between failing an event and being a failure as a person.
So that brings up the million-dollar question, why are most of us so darn terrified of failing? Well, according to Maxwell, it's because we've basically been programmed by a few really powerful but deeply flawed ideas about what failure even is.
Maxwell points out these 7 common misconceptions, kind of like bugs in our mental software. We think failure is something you can just avoid, but really, the only way to never make a mistake is to do absolutely nothing. We see it as this one big dramatic event, but it's usually a process, a series of small things. We think it's an objective fact, but actually, we're the ones who decide what it means. And here are the really damaging ones. We believe that failure defines who we are, that it's something to be ashamed of, and that it's this permanent dead end. It's these beliefs that completely paralyze us.
But what if we could just rewrite that programming? This leads us straight to the core concept of Maxwell's work, the whole idea of failing forward. And I gotta say, this is a complete and honestly totally liberating shift in how you see things.
Okay, now this slide right here, this basically simplifies everything. The old formula that so many of us operate on is you make a mistake, you give up, and that equals failure. A setback happens, we stop trying, and we let it define us. But the new formula is the real game changer. Mistake plus learning equals success. See how that shifts everything? The mistake isn't the end result, it's just a data point. The real deciding factor is what you do next. And if this concept sounds kind of familiar, well, it should. It lines up perfectly with what Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck famously calls a growth mindset. It's this core belief that your abilities aren't just fixed in stone. Challenges aren't threats, they're actually chances to get better. A setback isn't proof that you suck, it's just feedback on your way to improving.
Okay, so understanding the mindset is one thing. That's great. But how do we actually put this into practice when things inevitably go wrong? Well, Maxwell gives us a really clear, actionable playbook. Let's walk through it.
All right, so here's the playbook. Step 1, take full responsibility. The moment you blame someone else, you give away your power. Step 2, learn a specific lesson. Don't just say, oh, I'll do better. You got to pinpoint exactly what you'll do differently next time. Step 3, be a realistic optimist. Acknowledge that things went bad, but focus on what you can actually control now. 4, take action right away. Don't get stuck in paralysis by analysis. 5, and this one's a big one, separate the event from who you are. A failed project does not make you a failure. 6, find a sense of humor. Learning to laugh at yourself is a superpower. And finally, step 7, start seeing failure as the price of admission. It's the entry ticket you have to buy to get into the world of success.
Okay, so that's all the theory, but what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's walk through a few common situations that I'm pretty sure many of us have faced before.
Let's say you're at the office. You make a pretty significant mistake on an important report. The old reaction? Pure panic. You try to hide it, or maybe you kind of subtly blame the weird data you were given. The failing forward action? You own it, immediately. You analyze exactly where the process broke down, and you go to your boss not just with a problem, but with a proposed solution. That's how you build trust instead of destroying it.
And for all the entrepreneurs watching this, you'll feel this one. Your big product launch is a total flop. Crickets. The old reaction is to just freak out, right? Maybe you slash the prices out of pure desperation, or you just scrap the whole thing. The failing forward approach, you treat that failed launch not as a disaster, but as incredibly valuable market data. You get on the phone with the few people who did buy, you find out what they love and what they hate, and you use that real feedback to pivot your strategy.
And hey, this is super relevant to personal growth too. Let's say you're learning an instrument, and you just feel totally stuck. You're not getting any better. The old reaction is to say, I guess I just don't have the talent for this. But the new action is to redefine what success even looks like for today. It's not about playing a perfect song. Maybe it's just about making one chord change a little bit smoother than you did yesterday. You focus on the process, not the far-off outcome.
So, as we start to wrap this whole thing up, the big takeaway is really a call to action. It's not about trying to avoid failure, because you can't. It's about fundamentally changing your entire relationship with it. It's about learning to actually embrace your next setback.
And I think this quote just sums it up perfectly. We're taught to see success and failure as these two opposite ends of a spectrum. But that's just wrong. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone on the path to success. It is an essential, totally unavoidable part of the journey. So I'll leave you with this question. Think about that mistake you remembered at the beginning, or maybe one that you know is coming up this week. How can you apply this failing forward mindset to it? What specific lesson is hiding inside that setback, just waiting for you to find it?
All right, that's all for today's Explainer. If you're ready to start failing forward, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more ideas just like this. And maybe share this with someone you know who's facing a tough challenge. We'd also love to hear from you in the comments. What's a big idea or a book you want us to tackle next? I'm Eric. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.